Hello there, my name is LimeLycan, and if you haven't seen the previous video, we're going to be surviving 200 days in Minecraft Nintendo Switch Edition. Without further ado, let's get into the video. We're starting off strong with days 101 and 102 spent the majority in the nether, raising experience to get to level 30. Once I did, I got a pretty mediocre enchant on my helmet, but as I said in the previous video, I take what I can get. Day 103 does not get any more interesting as I broke my anvil trying to enchant a pickaxe, so I went mining to get some more iron to make a new one. I also got some diamonds, so at least my time wasn't entirely wasted. On day 104, I flew over to the village to see what was up and to check the prices to make plans for a future trading endeavor. Day 105 I spent on the bridge over the river in hopes of finding a mending book from fishing. I didn't find any, by the way. Day 106 I circled around my property and put down a oak fence to stop mobs from crossing over into my property from the dark side. I flew into the village to fight a horde of zombies and, unfortunately, died from a surprise creeper attack. The next day, I flew back after retrieving my stuff and continued to light up the area immediate around my house and all my buildings. Day 108, I did some alchemy and spent the day farming blazes again to get to level 30 again. By the dawn of the next day, I had reached level 30, I returned home, and after cycling the enchantment table a couple of times, finally got Silk Touch to appear as a level 30 enchant. So I had to, once again, spend more time in the blaze farm getting up to level 30. Once I had finally done that, I had it. My first Silk Touch pickaxe, with perfect enchants. Day 111 was spent in the blaze farm again, this time to get enough experience to enchant a Smite 5, looting 1 sword, which I would eventually use against the Wither. Day 112, my hubris got the best of me, as I thought I could survive the fall into the pit by just gliding, and boy, was I very wrong. So, after a brief meeting with the tunneling company and going down to get my stuff, I went into the end portal and dug all the way down to the bottom of the end island to see if I could place down an Enderman farm. Unfortunately, there's a hard-coded barrier and you can't even place water in this version, so I wasted all that time. Instead, I took all that endstone and made a bell statue in my base to enjoy. Days 114 and 115 were spent in the nether killing various mobs to gain resources. I was paying special attention to wither skeletons though, as I wanted to finally spawn in the wither. It took a while, but after 2 full days of farming, I finally had enough to summon the wither. Day 116, I did a surveying flight to fill out another portion of the map, and found a village populated with the exact villager I was looking for, a toolsmith. Day 117, I put the map in the item frame and started fishing again for more mending books. Hopefully I would have better luck this time. Day 118, still fishing. Day 119, still fishing, this time with a little bit of better luck. After making the flight back to the village and engaging in some light capitalism, I ran out into the forest and was attacked by a chainmail skeleton, probably seeking revenge for his brother that I killed in the previous episode. He succeeded. And so I spent about 2 days roaming the forest and hills trying to locate my stuff, but I never did. And it eventually disappeared. So that was the end of my elytra. And I can't even get another pair because in the Nintendo Switch Edition, you only get 1 end city. Day 122, I destroyed all of my sugarcane farm in order to make room for an automatic one. I also did some light terraforming to get a nice flat area. Day 123, I was still searching, still holding out that tiniest bit of hope that my elytra hadn't completely disappeared. But of course, I gave up. So I ended up having to rely on old gear I had, old crap from when I fought the dragon. Day 124, I was digging a tunnel into the earth and summoned the wither underground in my mineshaft. It did not go very well as he escaped into the ceiling and I could hardly get a hit on him. So I tried trapping him underneath the end fountain, and that also didn't work as he broke away and got free. So on day 125, I fought him in the nether roof. Die. Oh shit, more lava. I can fight him. Come on. I got him. Holy shit, I got him. I did it. Guys, I did it. Oh, no. Okay, holy shit. The nether star almost blew up. Give me that shit. Once I had him defeated, I crafted the beacon. And I was so proud of myself. I had finally beat the wither on my own. Day 126, I was down in the mines gathering minerals as I was going to need a lot. About 164 mineral blocks is required, as well as the 1 to activate it, so that comes out to about 1,476 plus 1 gold ingots. Day 127 through 129, I spent just fishing in the river, still searching for those fabled mending books, which I didn't find any. Day 133 through 132, I was down in the mines, wandering around looking for more minerals to power that beacon. I didn't find much except a great deal of diamonds and coal. I was really rich in carbon, and I was able to reap massive amounts of minerals using a fortune pickaxe. I spent all of day 133 on the river again to hope that I get some mending books, but I didn't again, and I continued to fish until also day 134. After that, I did some science with my triple burner setup to cook some crystal meth, and then I cleared some trees around my property for oak wood. Day 135, I was back on the river again, fishing, and didn't find much. And I didn't find much on day 136 either, although I think I did find at least 1 mending book with other enchants on it. I didn't have enough levels to upgrade my stuff, so I went back to the blaze farm for another full day and a half and farmed a bunch of blazes until I hit level 33. Once I did, I was finally able to enchant the perfect diamond helmet with protection 4, respiration, aqua affinity, and unbreaking. I also made a perfect sword with sharpness 5 and mending. Day 139, I began a chicken farm, and I started force-feeding their young with as many steroids as I could until they grew before my very eyes, and I had a nice source of feathers to make arrows. Day 140, I continued to flatten out the area by my farms to make enough space to make that automatic sugarcane farm. All I needed was about an 8x22 hole in the ground, with enough flat area to build around it. I also started mixing some concrete of various colors, my favorite, pink and lime. And continuing the quest to flatten out my area, I finally filled in the ravine that I kept falling into, so now it's no longer a hazard. Day 141, I was still filling in the area around my base, and it was really starting to come together. I also put down some dirt paths to give it the small village type feel. I still needed rails for the sugarcane project, so I went into the stronghold mineshaft and got some. Unfortunately, I was blown up by a sneak suicide bomber and thrown off the ledge. So the next day I had to make the trek back to the portal and finally put water over the lava so I wouldn't burn my stuff the next time I fell down into the hole. I traveled back home and mixed more concrete in the river. Day 143, I was making some powered rails and finally dug out that little area that I was talking about so that I could fill it in with the underlying collection system of the sugarcane farm. I began with interlaced lines of railroad with no powered rails. Then, once I had placed down the normal tracks, I put down some powered rails in interspersed patterns. By the way, the entirety of this tutorial can be found on iCraftMC's channel, so go check it out. I also put down the storage system and integrated some really tricky redstone with hoppers and a comparator on the railroad track. The problem is that the redstone doesn't exactly work this way on Legacy Edition, at least not yet, so I kinda had to get creative when I realized it wasn't going to work, but that could wait. For now, I put down the underside of the water reservoir so that I could hold down some water with pink sand, which I thought looked really good, and put down the blocks that grow the sugarcane. Once I had that down, I filled in the water reservoirs diagonally so I can make some infinite water sources, then put down the rows of sugarcane. After that, I covered it up with some green concrete, just so you couldn't see the water. Day 145 is when I show you how creative I can get, as because the comparator wasn't working, I ended up with a design with a repeater and a comparator on the second hopper instead to propel the minecart forward when it was collecting. Then I put down the pistons. This took a lot actually. I had to go back and forth mining to get all these pistons, but I eventually did. Once the observers were in place, all that was left was to connect them. Day 146, I came back with some glass to put up a barrier around the sugarcane so it wouldn't escape. And on day 147, I put down some glowstone lamps, as I thought it really looked nice instead of a bunch of torches on the floor. I also took one of the only name tags I had left and named my horse Rangpor after the type of lime. Yes, I am obsessed, that's the brand. Day 148, I was breeding massive amounts of chicken, getting all the cock I could. Then I put some trapdoor decorations around the glowstone lamps, and to really get some internet points, I gave my horse a lime-colored leather armor. Day 149 was the day I finally began to raid the Ocean Monument, as I wanted some prismarine for sea lanterns and sponges so I could soak up water easier. So I began by drinking night vision and water breathing and entering through the front side, as I couldn't mine anything with the mining fatigue that the Elder Guardians give you. Once the first Elder Guardian was dead, I got the achievement The Deep End, which was really nice, and I got a sponge. Day 150, I was looking around for a way inside of the ocean monument, and I couldn't find a way into the side, so I had to break my way into it. Unfortunately, the Elder Guardians were far too strong for me, and I got lasered down immediately and died in the process of trying to kill them. So I had to swim my way back, collect my stuff, and finally kill the remaining Elder Guardians. Once I had done that, all it took was some searching around to find the center room, and I could finally get all the gold, which amounted to 8 gold blocks. Once I got all the treasure, I left as I didn't want to spend a second there. Day 151, I used the gold blocks I got from the ocean monument to power a small beacon just to test out how it worked. It was pitiful, only having about a range of 9 blocks, which is a far cry from the 50 block range you get when you fully power one. After that, I went to the end to farm some ender pearls to make end crystals to finally fight the ender dragon again. Day 152, I went up to the sky to get the trampoline achievement by bouncing 30 blocks up from a slime block, and it was glorious. I also for some reason didn't have the dispense with this achievement, but I did get one by crafting a dispenser. I collected some clay and made a flower pot to get the pot planter achievement as well. Day 153, I thought some brand recognition was in order, so I went to the back of my house on the cliffside to design a pixel art logo, which was going to really bring up the decoration factor of my base. By night, I had finished the majority of the design, although I still needed to work around the pith design. But by the time morning came on day 154, I had finished the pixel art lime and signed it with a LL in green. That morning I also began demolition on the roof of my house as I wanted to expand it to a 2-story building. Once the roof was off, it was as simple as extending the walls and pillars up and covering the top. The next day I worked on the interior, building down the stair platform and putting my bed upstairs so I could have an elevated sleeping position. I also carved out the holes for the windows, and also made a very nice lime design for the carpet underneath my bed. Finally, I finished the extras like the windows and the inner decor with the twisting stairwell. Day 156 began slow as I put a dirt scaffolding and begun construction on the top roof on the outer edge and filled in the inside. After a full day's work, it was completed, a 2-story house with a roof on top. Day 157, I did some cultivation of my crops, some potatoes for the journey back to the end portal to fight the Ender Dragon for the second time. And on the morning of day 158, I began my fight for the second time with the Ender Dragon, and she was really easy this time because I was not scared of her at all, and it wasn't even worth it because 1, I can't get another end city, and 2, you don't even get that much XP the second time you fight her, so I was only doing this for the achievement, but, you know, what's done had to be done. Once it was all over, I went back into the end city to grab the dragon head that I had neglected to obtain, and made my way home on day 159. I had also managed to find a mending diamond shovel, which was only my second tool with mending on it. I also burned some time by getting the Iron Belly achievement by stopping hunger with rotten flesh. And by night, I had mounted the dragon head above my bed so that I could sleep with a cool taxidermy. Days 160 through 162 were spent out on the high seas exploring, filling in more of my 3x3 map. Day 163 and day 164 were spent similarly out in the wild, looking for more places to survey on the map, and by the time I'd made home, I had completed the 3x3 map, although there was still a section I needed to fill in. Day 165, I named my red parrot Ivy after the plant, yes, another green thing, and I spent the rest of the night gathering resources with my Fortune 3 pickaxe. Day 166, I thought some renovations were in order, so I took out all of the cobblestone floor and replaced it with stone bricks. Day 167, I was very sick of the mining grind, so I took that time to very cheekily clone a lot of gold blocks. And by that time, that evening, I had enough gold blocks to power a level 2 beacon. Still wasn't enough for me, but we're getting ever so closer. On day 168, I journeyed to the village in the desert and traded paper with the librarians to get some emeralds. I also entirely ditched the automatic system I was using for the sugarcane farm and instead hooked up some repeaters and put it on a manual activation system. Day 169 and day 170 I spent getting up to level 30 through blaze farming in the nether. Day 171 I went back to the enchantment table and got Unbreaking 3 and Efficiency 4 on a diamond axe and used up the remaining axe that I had on clearing out a forest of birch trees, and I continued to do so into day 172. Day 173, I went on a mining trip and found about 15 coal ore, which I mined out with my Fortune 3 pickaxe. Day 174, I spent hollowing out the mine shaft just to get some more stone blocks, as you really never can have enough stone. On day 175, I was walking around caves trying to look for any little scraps of iron or gold or whatever I could find. I didn't find much, but I did get some diamonds, so my life is not a waste. Day 176, I was cloning blocks of gold again, and it's really tedious, but I would rather do this than mine all day. After all that, I had another layer to put underneath the beacon. Still needing some more, I needed about a layer left, so I went back into the house and started cloning gold again, until I had a full stack again. Then I put it underneath, but it still wasn't enough, so I had to go back inside and clone it again to get the edges in. I had finally created enough to power my beacon and get the Beaconator achievement. First I dug a hole and put it on top. Pretty easy, but I wanted to make it even nicer, so I got some limestained glass, and I made a gemstone on top to emit the beacon powers. I was kind of going for a Chaos Emerald looking thing, but by the end of it, it kind of looked like the crystal that floats above the heads of Sims, but I'm not complaining. It looked pretty good, and, you know, that's all I care about is some aesthetic. Day 180, I was fishing in the river again to look for mending books. Of course, you know I didn't find any that time, so I made a unique beacon for my base, which, I mean, it's not a looker, but it's mine. Day 81, I didn't do much but walk around on my horse, because I really do love horse riding. Oh, I'm sorry, Rangpor. Day 182 was spent germinating some gourds to use to summon an iron golem and get the achievement Bodyguard. I was so excited I even named this one. I named him Ginkgo, after the large tree. I also managed to get Efficiency 4 on my mending shovel. Day 183 through day 186, I just smelted a bunch of netherrack. Then, on day 187, I built these really cool telephone lines. I'm not sure what I was going to use them for, but I just thought they looked cool, you know, having telephone lines making it look like it was a whole city going on with infrastructure and all that. Day 181, because I'm so vain, I crafted some steps, slabs, and stone brick blocks to use to make a sign with my name on it. A very needed addition to any Minecraft world. I started off with the word lime, but of course I didn't have enough space on the cliff face, so on day 189, I dug out an entire hill next to my house so I would have enough dirt to make a giant dirt wall behind the sign. I did make some good progress on that day, but it took me all day to get it all finished, and by the morning of day 190, I had finally lit it up. So I spent the rest of the day fishing by the river, still looking for mending books, didn't find any. Instead, I went into the jungle, domesticated a cat, and named it Midori, because did you know that I'm obsessed with the color green? I am very obsessed with the color green, so that's Midori. She's cute. Day 191, I wanted to get the When Pigs Fly achievement, so I got a carrot on a stick, a saddle, and a pig together, built up a bridge into the sky, and just walked off. And I got it. It was kind of sad, but, you know, I needed those achievements. Day 192, I continued on my terraforming endeavors, digging holes in giant hills and stuffing them back into the ground. I also widened up the path between the street and my portal, just to make it look even nicer. I also brewed some invisibility potions, which I had never used before, but I got to use them now, and I gotta say, I love the look of nothing. I look pretty good. And it feels good to kill mobs without them ever knowing your presence. I also put down an underline underneath my name so I can have better presentation on the Hollywood sign. Day 193 and day 194 were spent filling out the final portion of my 3x3 map. Previously, I had left this undiscovered as I ran out of Elytra durability, but since I can't really get it back, I have no excuse but to go out and get the final chunk of the map. Day 195, I was climbing all the way up, back up to build height to destroy this pillar that I had built out of netherrack before to get the trampoline achievement, and I almost died from the fall damage. Day 196, I spent putting out random pillars of these glowstone lamps because I really like how they look, but I didn't have enough of them, and I eventually ran out of glowstone, so I had to go into the nether and get more. I almost died on this trip, by the way. There was a gas shooting at me this whole time. Didn't show it, but I did get the glowstone, and it looked pretty nice with all these little lamps around my base. I did nothing day 197, but I did find a very pleasant sight. Ginkgo took a liking to the pond and just started spinning around and bathing in it. This was probably one of the funniest moments I've ever seen. I don't know what compelled him to get off the leash and just jump in there, but he did. Anything else I did was pretty irrelevant. I just put the furnaces under the staircase so they'd be out of the way and out of sight. Day 198, I was digging out another layer above the stairs, so that way when I walk up, I won't bang my head over the stairs when I try to jump up and down, and it really does work, so now I can walk up the stairs even faster! I also decided it was a good time to make a memorial for the dog that I had killed in a previous episode. I could not remember the date he died, so I just put down some random day. Pretty close, but looking back, it was probably a little bit farther ahead. And to replace him, I made Brine and Vinegar breed and make a new baby. I don't have a name for it yet. Day 199, I spent clearing out the hill over the river because I wanted to clear it out to build something very special, and I put down a sign just to show what was next for that area. And so it was finally time to complete the game. So I climbed up on the mountain, flattened it out a little bit to get a better view, and I watched the sunset next to my green heart. And that was the end of day 200.